Wondering if now is the best time for you to take advantage of that super cheap airfare to Hawaii? Might not actually be the safest time. If you want to find out why, keep watching. Hello everyone, I am Dr. Rupa Wong, board certified ophthalmologist. And before we get started, I just thought I would explain I am a medical doctor. Had to remember which side of my scrubs were monogrammed here. MD, medical doctor. I went to Cornell Medical School. I am a physician. That's what an ophthalmologist is versus an optometrist. And the reason I'm making that distinction is you might be asking why I'm addressing the topic of COVID-19 in Hawaii. And as a physician, I really do feel like I have a duty to do so, especially since my medical practice is located in the outpatient office buildings of one of the largest hospitals in the state of Hawaii, actually the largest hospital, the only main trauma center for the state of Hawaii. It's called Queens Medical Center, and that's where my office is located. So as a result, I see a lot of my patients are employees of the hospital. They're nurses, they're staff, they're doctors, they're respiratory therapists, transporters, everything. But before we get into all of that, all right, let's take a look. I get it. You found a super cheap ticket online for a Hawaii vacation, a getaway. You are sick and tired of this pandemic. I totally am. And you figure Hawaii is a great place because if Delta variant goes crazy, at least you're not stuck somewhere international if you're American, right? I mean, it makes sense. I totally understand the need to vacation. I understand the need to connect with your family, the need to just get a change of scenery, just to, rejuvenate and replenish your energy source. I get it. I totally get it. But I'm going to tell you 5 reasons you might want to reconsider your Hawaii vacation. Reason number 1 is our ICU beds are full and our hospitals are at capacity. Right now, it's the middle of August, and our main hospital, Queens West, which is the hospital located on the other side of the island from the main hospital, and Straub Hospital are all at 125%. What does that mean? How can a hospital be at 125% capacity? Well, this is how it affected me. All of our ICU beds have been taken because of the influx of COVID-19. Right now, unfortunately, the Delta virus has skyrocketed the number of cases here in Hawaii. It's responsible for now 95% of the COVID-19 infections. And because of that, we've run out of beds. So they are using beds in the post-op recovery rooms. As a consequence, they have canceled all of our eye surgeries at our hospital because they need to use the nursing staff elsewhere in the hospital and they need to use the beds for ICU. That's unfortunate. I just had to cancel a 3-year-old little girl with cross eyes. I need to fix her eyes, but I can't do surgery for it because of the COVID spikes. And obviously that's going to take priority. So if you are contemplating coming, you should know that these things are happening. And no, we're not saying that you're going to get admitted for COVID. Likely you're either vaccinated or you've taken your COVID test to be able to travel to Hawaii. The problem is we are full, which means for anything else, if you have a stroke, if you have a heart attack, or if you're involved in a car accident out here, we just don't have the capacity at our biggest hospital. Again, I'm saying it again. Our biggest hospital, our level 1 trauma center. My friend was at a polo match up on the north shore of Oahu, and as she was driving back to her house, she came across a huge 8-car pileup, big accident. Here's the problem. Now, because Queens Hospital, which is normally where those patients would get taken to, because it's at capacity, they are going to get diverted to other smaller hospitals and maybe even further away. So if you want to be sure that you're going to be getting the care that you need. I love Hawaii doctors. I am a Hawaii physician. We have great doctors here, but they are at their limit. So this is not going to be the best time to travel only because our numbers are so high. About 3 months ago, our case averages were 30 to 50 a day. We had an under 2% COVID-19 positivity rate. Now we're in the 700 to 800s and we are just under 10% positivity. That's a really, really big jump. And math models by a professor here at University of Hawaii have predicted that we're going to be reaching 3,700 cases per day in October. So if you have your travel plans for October, unless something changes in terms of vaccination rates or gatherings or anything else, we're going to be upwards of at least 2,500 cases a day, likely in the next couple of months. So you might want to hold off on your Hawaii vacation for that reason alone. Now, here's the thing. I love Hawaii. I've lived here for 13 years. I am not local by any means. My husband is. We met in New York, so that's why we're here. I love sharing my island with people. I love it when my family can come visit me from North Carolina. It's just not something that I would recommend right now. And I think that if you are concerned at all about the hospital bed situation, then it might be something you want to think about. All right, if that doesn't worry you, then here's a couple other reasons that you might not want to come to Hawaii. There are long lines everywhere. When I say long lines, I'm talking ridiculously long lines. We now have about 30,000 visitors to the state. Can you imagine 30,000 visitors to the state? And that's almost approaching pre-pandemic levels. But what's the difference? Well, the difference is that now restaurants have to be at 50% capacity because of our COVID numbers surging. The governor issued a proclamation to that effect. So that means we can't take everybody at restaurants. So even when I wanted to make a restaurant reservation back in the summer, you had to make them 2 or 3 months in advance. There's a really popular ramen place in Waikiki, and people would have like a line of 4 or 5 people typically. Now that line stretches all the way down the block and around. It's pretty crazy. So these lines are long. Guess what? Those surf lines are equally as long. If you love surfing and you want to get out to Waikiki, I live on Oahu, so my husband takes our kids surfing in Waikiki all the time, and it's nuts. It is, just shoulder to shoulder with everybody. Even out on the water. I mean, it's one thing you think about it on the beach, it can be crowded, for sure, you're used to it, but you're outdoors, you kind of feel like, But if you want to go to Waikiki to learn how to surf, you want to take those surf lessons, because it is the best place to learn, especially for beginners, you are going to be out there with everybody in the water. And it just makes it really hard to learn how to surf. I know my kids have been cut off by people that are dropping in on their waves, running over their boards. It just makes it challenging because I myself, and I don't surf. I usually stand up paddleboard, but I went out with the kids, and so my husband was trying to get me to surf, and I can stand up. I don't think I have photographic evidence, but I can stand up. I was a gymnast. And I found it super stressful, I'll be honest, because I'm trying to avoid everybody as I was riding the wave in, and I couldn't even really enjoy the fact that I was riding a wave in. So that's reason number 2. Long lines everywhere, restaurants, and even when you're waiting for your wave to surf. Reason 3 is the restrictions. Now, the governor just had a news conference today. They have limited indoor gatherings to 10 people. Restaurants are, of course, at 50% capacity. You cannot have any parties larger than 10. Outdoor gatherings have now been limited to 25 people. You still have to wear a mask when you're indoors. We are not yet at a point where the governor has decided to shut down the businesses and the economies. And I sure hope that doesn't happen, because I know how many businesses really depend on that. And it's been a brutal year. Earlier in the pandemic, Governor Ige actually shut down all of the beaches. See how empty this is? This is right in the middle of Waikiki in front of the Royal Hawaiian Hotel, which is usually crowded with visitors. But early in the pandemic, all the beaches were closed, which meant you could go into the ocean, but you were not allowed to stay on the beach. So you couldn't even put a towel down. So my husband would take my daughter out surfing. They would surf and then go straight back to the car where they would towel off and change. Can you imagine coming all the way to Hawaii and you can't even get a tan or hang out on the beach at all? That's not what's happening right now. There are no beach shutdowns as of now, but it could happen if things worsen, because that's the nature of how rapidly the COVID-19 cases are increasing. So there is a chance that the restrictions could be increased as soon as you're here. So if you don't want to take that chance about restrictions, then you might want to avoid traveling right now to Hawaii. 4th, the rental car situation. The rental car situation is pretty nuts, you guys. So as visitors have returned really, really quickly to Hawaii, we haven't been able to keep up with the inventory. So rental car prices are through the roof. And I just went online and checked Hertz and a couple others, and there's even a website that had done a whole poll on it. And for prices on Oahu, it's running about $1,400 a week for a rental car. And it's more on the neighbor islands like Kauai, Maui, and the Big Island. And most of the time, you're just going to find a sold out sticker everywhere because there are no rental cars. So a lot of people, like I have family members that have listed their personal cars on Turo because they can make a couple $100s a day. Like I can list my Nissan Leaf and probably make $100 a day, if not $150 a day on my Nissan Leaf. Maybe I should do that. I haven't done it yet, but I could because it's so crazy with the rental cars. So that's the fourth reason that you might not want to come is just the rental car situation is a little nuts. People have even been renting U-Hauls, I'm not even joking, to drive around, and it's a little crazy. We see it. I've seen it all the time. So that's reason number 4. And reason number 5, there is a muted sense of aloha here. I know that the people in Hawaii, we are gracious, we are lovely, we love sharing our islands, we like it when people come to our islands. Tourism is the backbone of our economy. We love celebrating weddings and people on their honeymoon and baby moons. It's amazing. And I really do enjoy nothing more than sharing my island and my adopted home state with visitors. But locals are tired. They are scared by the increasing numbers of COVID-19. They're scared that if their grandpa has a stroke, that there will not be enough beds because there's so many COVID cases in the ICU. They're mad about visitors that are coming, refusing to wear masks indoors because maybe that's not the policy in the state you're from, but it is the law here. They're upset because then store owners get berated and get yelled at, and restaurant owners and waiters and waitstaff. So I know it's stressful for a lot of visitors who come here and expect to have this like beautiful island vacation, and they're just met with headache after headache. And that impacts us as well. So there can be that very muted sense of aloha. You don't get the aloha spirit that you normally would in a non-pandemic vacation. And now there are visitors that even falsify their vaccination cards so that they don't have to get COVID tested, and I guess they don't want to get the vaccine, and they are falsifying it, and they've been caught. But that just also weighs on our minds because, it's like coming to someone's house and just, being completely disrespectful. It's awful. So there's a reason that you might not find the islands that you love visiting typically the way that you remember it. So now it just might not be the absolute best time to come visit. We would love for you to come visit. We really would, but maybe just not now. Maybe when it's safer, and then you can really enjoy your island getaway. All right, guys, that is it. This is a little bit different than what I usually talk about on my channel. My channel is usually about eye health, eye surgery, eye makeup health, a lot lighter than talking about your Hawaii vacation. But I would love to do some Hawaii vlogs when I don't have to run around in a mask to do so. So I will be doing them for sure if you guys are interested in seeing what it's like to be a Hawaii working mom. I have 3 kids. We do a lot of fun stuff usually. And I'm hoping we'll be able to return to that so soon. But thank you guys so much for watching. If any of those topics I mentioned is of interest to you, hit that subscribe and notifications, bell button, all of that stuff. And everybody stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye for now.